All right, here we go. Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you. It is a somber Monday morning on this Monday, October 13th. Niners fall to the Buccaneers yesterday on the road, 30-19. Their record falls to 4-2, and we're always going to remember Week 6 of the 2025 season on October 12th of 2025 as the day that Fred Warner got hurt, a player who's been an Iron Man for San Francisco. He's missed one start in his NFL career since he was drafted in 2018 in the third round out of BYU. And yesterday, friendly fire. Jair Brown falls into him. He breaks and dislocates his ankle, and he is now out for the season. That's an image of him on the cart. He knew right away. Everybody knew right away. Not good. And a lot of Niner fans are feeling like how I was feeling last night. On the couch, draped in a Fred Warner jersey, one of my favorite players of all time, and we're just staring into the void. Just couldn't believe it. Shocked, gutted, felt as though we were kicked in the stones, our hearts ripped out of our chests. Because obviously, San Francisco over time, under Kyle Shanahan, they've had this unbelievable run of bad injury luck. But you never thought that Fred Warner, Mr. Durable, who's always on the field, Mr. Steady, Mr. Consistent, one of the best players in the history of this organization, one of the best players of all time, a future Hall of Famer, would go down. But of course he goes down because this is the luck of the San Francisco 49ers right now. And these images just absolutely brutal. And it was really telling how everybody on the field dropped to a knee, both the 49ers sideline, Buccaneers sideline, just in shock. Kyle Shanahan comes onto the field. The whole stadium went silent. Even on the broadcast, I talk for a living. I was speechless. And the injury, obviously a gruesome image here. You see the ankle go the wrong way, and immediately Fred Warner gets carted off. They put the air cast on. He goes to the hospital, and right away, the Niners roll him as out. Now, I'm not saying that this would have kept Fred Warner healthy or an injury would have been avoided. But upon looking at the tape, what do you notice here as I step out of frame? On the play where Fred Warner got hurt, when the Buccaneers picked up a sizable gain on the ground as Baker Mayfield handed the football to Rachaad White, what did I see? What do you see? The 49ers only had 10 defenders on the field. Now, if they had all 11 players on the field, does the run pick up that much yardage? And if it doesn't, does Fred Warner get hurt like he did at the end of the play? Because it was a sizable gain. If the Niners are able to bottle up Rachaad White within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, Fred Warner, who was in on the play at the end of it, might be upright, might be healthy, and his season might not be over. That just throws salt on the wound and makes it even harder. So coming up here on today's edition of the San Francisco 49ers Report, what do the Niners do without Fred Warner? Why that loss to me is so annoying, because it was there for the taking. Niners simply couldn't capitalize. And will the Niners make some trades to address Nick Bosa being out for the year and now Fred Warner being out for the year as well? If you like the content and you haven't subscribed, do so right now, by the way. It's 100% free, and we're giving you Niners videos every single day year-round. We're 414 people away from 177,000 subscribers. So if you want to be a more informed Niner fan, this is the go-to spot for you. Why this Fred Warner loss is so devastating for the San Francisco 49ers? He's the heartbeat of this team. He's the heart and soul of the 49ers. He's one of the best players in the National Football League, a generational talent where week in and week out, it is a true joy to watch number 54 play football because he's so dominant, he's so unique, he's so one of one, and he plays the game the right way. The Niners are really going to miss his leadership on the field, in between the lines, but also off the field. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better person and better character than Fred Warner. That Niners locker room after that Super Bowl loss in Super Bowl 58, you could hear a pin drop inside it. The Niners were heartbroken. That locker room yesterday after the game, knowing the significance of losing Fred Warner for the rest of the year, right up there with that heartbreaking Super Bowl loss. Offenses game plan for Fred Warner. They know that against the run, as a blitzer and in coverage, he is a demon. And you saw yesterday The Buccaneers altered their game plan with Fred Warner off the field, and they averaged more than 7 yards per play after the Warner injury. There were coverage breakdowns that usually don't happen when Warner is on the field. The Niners, uncharacteristically, were making so many mistakes. There were guys uncovered without Fred Warner on the field. And the loss of him for the rest of the year, it's just an impossible player to replace. He literally is irreplaceable. You can keep your heads above water without Nick Bosa. Can you survive without Bosa and Fred Warner? That's why a lot of Niner fans are beating up on this Monday morning, why you were feeling it yesterday, because Niner fans feel as though the season is over. And up until yesterday, it was a special season brewing for San Francisco. Now, obviously, the Niners are 4-2. There's 11 regular season games left, and there is still a lot to play for. But losing Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, two of the best overall players in the NFL, a sizable loss for this Niners team. Now, who steps up without Fred Warner? 2024 7th-round pick Tatum Bethune is going to start. He replaced Warner yesterday. He is not the athlete that Warner is. Very few players are. But what Tatum Bethune does have, instincts, smarts, football IQ. He can read and diagnose plays. He's not going to be as athletic in space. He's not going to have the sideline-to-sideline speed. We saw that yesterday against the Buccaneers. But he can be in the right place at the right time. Again, Fred Warner is an irreplaceable player. Tatum Bethune is a solid special teams player, a solid backup, and for now, he's going to start in the place of number 54, and he can do some of the same things that Warner can as far as getting to the right place at the right time and making some instinctual plays based upon feel. Nick Martin, the 3rd-round pick out of Oklahoma State, is a wrecking ball, plays the game so fast. Sometimes that can hurt him because he over-pursues, misses plays, and misses tackles because he takes himself out of position because he's so aggressiveness and he can't harness that. Sometimes that can be to his benefit because he plays like a bat out of hell. It is time for the 49ers to activate him to see if he can contribute. You're short a linebacker, and it's time for Nick Martin to get on the field. And we'll see what he can do. You can tell that Robert Saleh doesn't fully trust him because of what I mentioned of him giving up big plays, because sometimes he costs San Francisco's defense because he is overly aggressive. That's what we saw early on from D. Winters. But at this point, you have to play him because you have no other choice. And the other linebackers on this team are going to have to step up. You're going to see more Luke Gifford, who's more of a special teams player. D. Winters has to play better. Nick Martin is going to get some snaps. And maybe you make a trade at some point down the road. We'll get into that here soon. But right now, the other linebackers, it's next man up at the linebacker position. And as Fred Warner said after the game, for everybody else on this Niners team. And Robert Saleh is amazing as a defensive mind, as a defensive coordinator. But you're now without Nick Bosa at the first level of your defense and Fred Warner at the second level of that defense. I don't care if you're the best defensive mind that the world has ever seen in the history of the sport of football. You lose 2 players of that caliber, and your defensive production is definitely going to dip. And so we have to come to the reality that for the rest of the year, this Niners defense might be a weakness. When to start the year, they were a strength and a big reason why San Francisco won those 4 games. Now, of course, as part of this conversation, will the 49ers make a trade? You lose Nick Bosa and Fred Warner, that could alter the deadline plans for San Francisco. You still have Fred Warner, you make a trade for a pass rusher, and that really helps a pass rush that has struggled in the 3 full games since Bosa's been out. But you lose Bosa and Warner, now you might have to make 2 trades, and you might have to pay more money than you wanted to. You might have to give up more picks than what you had anticipated when the Niners clearly want to save money and save picks so that they can continue to build this young football team. It could really change the Niners' thought process and their plans going into the deadline after Week 9, going into Week 10. A lot of you are asking who the top free agent linebackers are. This is the list of the top 8, and there's a reason why these players are still available, because they're not that good. And the best linebackers, they have jobs. They are employed. Josie Jewell, Jalen Reeves-Maben, Eric Kendricks, Devondre Campbell, obviously the Niners aren't going to bring that stiff back, but he is one of the top linebackers available. Isaiah Simmons, Jalen Smith, Nicholas Morrow, Kamu Grugier-Hill. Not a lot of good options there. As far as a trade, though, there is an option who I really, really like. After the devastating Fred Warner injury, the trade piece that makes the most sense if the Niners want to trade for a middle linebacker, Demario Davis of the Saints. New Orleans is 1-5. They're going to sell going into the deadline. They're taking calls on a lot of their veterans. New Orleans wants picks to rebuild. They've been a competitive team this year, but they're not close, and they'd love to add young talent in the draft. Demario Davis is on an expiring deal. He's not going to cost too much in a trade. He's 36 years old. 2025 can just be a rental for San Francisco. I think they like that flexibility. Davis is 36, but he's still playing well. He started all 6 games this year. He fits the Niners culture. He's a team captain, a 5-time All-Pro, a 2-time Pro Bowler, and he was an All-Pro as recently as 2023. And this year, he's playing at a really good level. Overall PFF grade of 82.1. That ranks 12th among 137 linebackers. He has a 90.5 run defense grade. That's 5th. And the Niners' rush defense has been bad this year, even worse without Fred Warner. His coverage grade still pretty good. Starting caliber at 66.5. That ranks 26th. And he has 19 stops. That's 5th. He has seen so much in his NFL career that you bring in a veteran like that, he could really help out this defense so much. And while the Niners are at it, while you're on the phone with the Saints, trade for pass rusher Carl Granderson. Carl Granderson is top 10 in the NFL in sacks so far this year. He's graded out okay as far as Pro Football Focus. One thing that he does, which is what the Niners haven't been able to do the last couple of weeks, sack the quarterback. He has 4.5 sacks this year. So if you can make trades for both Demario Davis and Carl Granderson, we're feeling down right now. We'll be feeling up if the Niners can bring in 2 players like that with one trade where you can give up mid to late round picks realistically. So today's poll question is this. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's San Francisco 49ers report. Is the Niners season over? 11 games left, still 4-2, tied atop this division, number 3 seed in the NFC. O for over, A for alive. Share your thoughts with me down in the comment section right now. Today's sponsor, our friends at PrizePicks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in the game. Join the millions of users and sign up today with PrizePicks. Very simple to play. You choose more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you can win some big-time money. America's #1 fantasy sports app. Pick, predict, play. Available in 45 states all across America. You know who's playing? Marshawn Lynch, a Bay Area legend. I know he played for the Seahawks, but he's Bay Area through and through. PrizePicks is also the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. You want to pick more on Josh Allen's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup only on PrizePicks. You can follow other PrizePicks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click, like Marshawn Lynch. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just somebody whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on PrizePicks. How about this? We have another doubleheader Monday Night Football. Atlanta, Buffalo, Washington, Chicago. Bijan Robinson, more on the rushing attempts, 15.5. Keon Coleman, less on the receiving yards, 39.5. Caleb Williams, more than a half pick. He has to throw 1 interception. And then Ja'Cory Bill Krosky Merritt, more than a half rushing or receiving touchdown. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. So some thoughts on this loss for the Niners. By no means is this a bad loss to Tampa Bay. I think the Buccaneers are one of the top teams in the NFC, one of the top teams in the NFL. Todd Bowles alongside Kyle Shanahan in the running for Coach of the Year. Baker Mayfield is playing at a true MVP type of level. What he's doing with all of the injuries to his wide receivers and on offense along the offensive line really is incredible. His ability to throw the ball accurately with the strong arm at all areas of the field and his ability to pick up yards with his legs, especially in crucial plays, has been massive for Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers have won all of their games by one score with the exception of yesterday's game. They're in the victory formation for the first time. And how about the play that Baker made to escape the Trevis Gibson, Bryce Huff sack to pick up the first down on 3rd and long, and then a few plays later takes the top off of the defense and finds Tez Johnson. MVP level stuff. So by no means is this loss a bad one for San Francisco. They've lost to Jacksonville and Tampa Bay, 2 playoff caliber teams this year. What's annoying about this loss, though, for the Niners is that despite them being injury riddled, despite the emotional loss of Fred Warner, which affects your spirit, Jawan Jennings said, I needed nausea medicine. Trent Williams said, it's a gut punch. Christian McCaffrey said, it's heartbreaking. Mac Jones played well once again. He's thrown to Kendrick Bourne as the number 1 wideout. The Niners defense gave up a bunch of explosive plays. All of that being said, against a good team on the road, they still had their chances. They couldn't capitalize. And that's what's frustrating is that game so many times was there to be had, but the Niners couldn't convert in some key situations. And obviously, turnovers really hurt them. This Niners defense was a mess. I mean, the explosive plays that they gave up for touchdowns, coverage breakdowns for San Francisco. That's what happens when you don't have a player like Fred Warner on the field, because he's able to conduct this Niners defense and put players in a position to succeed pre-snap, during the play, post-snap, and they sorely missed him. This 49ers offensive line, to a criminal, comical level, is an absolute frickin' joke. Trent Williams isn't the same guy, but he's still pretty good. Colton McKivitz got paid. He's playing pretty well. But the interior of this Niners offensive line is so bad. Connor Colby stinks. Jake Brendel is awful. Dominic Pooney's regression needs to be studied because he has been so bad in year 2 after he was so good in year 1. And I thought Mac Jones was impressive in this game. The guy threw for 200 yards in the first half. Had a couple of explosive plays. Hung tough in the pocket. He was a warrior. But when you're playing behind this offensive line, it's impossible to hold up throughout the course of 60 minutes. The guy threw for 350 yards, and he was on the ground countless times because this Niners team couldn't pass protect, and San Francisco can't run the damn ball because this offensive line is so horrid. Now, for this Niners defense, the Buccaneers offense, 352 yards. They averaged 7 yards a play, 7.5 after the Fred Warner injury. To do that without Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Emeka Egbuka, that's why I say Baker's playing at an MVP level. Baker, 17 of 23 on the day. The Buccaneers also ran it successfully. They had balance with their offense. The Niners right now have no balance with their offense. 26 totes, 104 yards. No Bucky Irving. Still averaged 4 yards per carry. They also won the turnover battle. The Buccaneers did. Didn't turn it over once. Niners did multiple times. And time of possession, 27.25 for Tampa Bay. Mayfield so efficient yesterday as well. 17 of 23, 256 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a quarterback rating of 139. As far as Mac Jones goes, look, if you're a Niner fan and you're blaming Mac Jones for the Niners' loss yesterday, that's hilarious. You are outing yourself as a casual. You are admitting that you don't know football. It is nearly impossible to play the quarterback position behind this offensive line. Mac Jones was sacked 6 times. The Buccaneers had 10 quarterback hits, and they put pressure on Mac all day. Vita Vea was double-teamed at a historic rate. He was still able to bully and punish Dominic Booney and Jake Brendel. The interior of Connor Colby at left guard, Jake Brendel at center, and Dominic Booney at right guard is one of the worst interior offensive lines across the entire NFL. When there was a deep drop for Mac Jones, pressure in his face. When Christian McCaffrey got a carry, contacted in the backfield. It is nearly impossible to play quarterback like that, yet Mac still kept this team in it, throwing to Kendrick Bourne as his number 1. They're without all these weapons against a very aggressive defense. having to go blow for blow with a frenetic Buccaneers offense, which was scoring at a high rate, led by Baker Mayfield, and Mac Jones still kept this team in the game behind that offensive line when you can't run it and he's getting pressured all day. Mac Jones is not the reason why the Niners lost this game. The offensive line is. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Appreciate all of the support here on the show, whether we agree or disagree. I'll be back a little bit later with another episode, so be on the lookout for that. And that's why you hit that notification bell. Therefore, anytime I push out a show, anytime we go live, you will get notified.